Hey guys, it's Buzz. I'm a high level tank player in Overwatch, and I wanted to highlight some ideas that I don't see lower ranked players utilizing very often. This concept is the idea of utilizing stealth and engaging from an angle that is less likely to be contested by the enemy team. This is very prevalent on flankers, like Tracer, or on tanks that rely on engage timing, like Hazard, Monkey, Diva, and Wrecking Ball. In this video, I'm going to break down what I noticed when I was watching Team Liquid versus GK Esports yesterday, and how Zera and Infected were able to very effectively utilize cover and the element of surprise to catch GK off guard. I'm trying a method of content today where I am a little less removed from the production, and I just wanted to run this live and give this type of content a try. If you like this style of content and want to see some more of it, please let me know in the comments down below. To start here, I wanted to look at Infected's POV on this. You can see how he kind of flies up from the off angle. The Lucio does see him, but it doesn't into matter because he's able to slam on Lethal without being seen. Now let's watch this from Lethal's POV and see how hard it is to check out this ball. You can't even see him come in, so he gets the slam and forces Lethal to disengage, which allows his Kiriko to pick up the kill on the Tracer. So this is another good example. He's predicting that the cast is going to rotate under, and he hooks into a spot where the cast can't see him. He gets the perfect slam, and his Tracer finishes the kill. Let's look at this from Zera's perspective, because if any of them get poked out at any point in this rotation, this does not work. So Infected calls that he's going in for the slam, I assume, and Zera is full HP, both cooldowns, slides in, kills the cast.
I'm on the objective. You should swing my tools.
No damage taken, and Infected forced out Malga Shout. Malga Shout is the primary tool of sustain in this composition outside of like Bap's Lamp. And Bap's Lamp forces them to all stand within one little range. So as a Wrecking Ball, it's really important to not give the Malga a target to shoot when he's in his shout, because that will make his sustain much worse. So you see this shout go away, and Infected's able to reconnect and hit again on the backline here, and Malga has no cooldowns. They have to basically reset this fight, and Infected rolls through again. So another thing that Infected does very well here is, if you pay attention, GK swaps to Sombra. Lethal's on Sombra over here. So now, as Wrecking Ball, your counter is no longer the Cassidy, right? Cassidy is what you're trying to bait out. You're trying to bait that flash. You're trying to stay away from the Malga. That's your two primary goals as Ball against Cassidy Malga. When they swap to Sombra, you can't necessarily bait out her hack since it's such a short cooldown. It's like a 4-second cooldown, so if they miss the hack, they can just do it again in 4 seconds, whereas Flashbang is a longer cooldown. So now you need to notice how Infected adapts to this matchup and stays out of the range of the Sombra. He baits the hack there a little bit, gets out of the LOS, sends his Tracer onto the Sombra, sees her decloak, and at this point, this Sombra is effectively out of the fight. He's getting ready to go out of stealth. He's been forced out. So now Infected has a couple seconds of an opportunity to make something happen. What he does with this opportunity is he rolls through, puts some pressure on the BAP, and then resets again once the Sombra gets back into the fight. You see this Malga stomp onto his Kiriko? This is kind of exactly what you want in a ball comp. This Kiriko can TP away from this, as you can see. And now they're all reset, regrouped, and they get the pick on Ultraviolet. They do trade it out, but you can see when Malga has a million angles surrounding him, he just can't survive. So Infected uses this technique again very well in this next fight here, this next example. He sits in a very common Wrecking Ball spot here. Kind of resetting your grapple like that allows it to not go on cooldown for more than a second, and you can kind of just hang in the air and find a spot to drop on them. You see he has good trigger discipline too. He doesn't really want to jump that Hazard. Like he's not going to be able to really do anything against that Hazard. So his best bet is to avoid the Sombra and slam on the backline, right? And coordinate hits with this Tracer. So how Infected does that is he hangs out in the skybox, rolls through the Hazard, and evades the Sombra, spends some time forcing out the Sombra, actually gets the kill, which may have been a little bit of a mistake, but this is such an advantage for Liquid at this point that they don't really have to force anything. When you're in a 4v5 with the ult advantage and your primary counter is eliminated from the fight and you have the objective, you have no reason to make anything happen necessarily other than slowly whittling out this fight and whittling out their resources, because you have the objective. Ultimately, they are going to be forced to use their ultimates to get to the objective, which you can see happens here. And Infected swings around again and knocks Ultraviolet out of his lamp. It's just cleanup from here. That's actually all that happens this round.
And that window just bowled through. I mean, this is a flattening of GK right now. As Team Liquid just pure control of this game.
He had to be on low HP there, but the response is there from Team Liquid. Note, by the way, that this got late enough. The Team Liquid got all 5 ults and didn't have to use any of them until the last fight. This is going to be 100-0.
Yeah, 100-0. This is easy, too easy for Team Liquid. Wow, that's a stop.
On University here, I noticed that, so Infected's playing the Orisa here, which can't really utilize the stealth as well, but who can utilize the stealth very well is Zera on the Tracer. So what you can see here is they TP out. This is normal for competitive play. Their Tracer blinks across, and here it's very common for the team who has the Mauga to want to go high ground here. And Zera knows this, and he sits back, waits a second, and waits for Team Liquid to flip the map, which flipping the map basically means you're attacking this way, but this team is rotating into a position that favors them. So you rotate away from their team, basically, and flip the map. So we can see Zera here. He knows this is going to happen. He's very stealthy, hides in a position, scouts, and then coordinates this hit with Infected on this Baptiste. He doesn't get the kill, but he breaks the lamp and allows Vega to get the kill on Lethal. And Mauga here just has the impossible task of sustaining 1,000 angles while his Cassidy's down. So your hit scan, especially in a Cassidy comp, is kind of your silent carry, where you are rotating around to protect your hit scan, to allow your hit scan to ramp up that mid-fight damage against their tank. Zera, this is all standard practice here, just marking the Tracer. The Tracers contest the side fight alone, often in the Lucio Bap comp. And you see Maimon take the health pack, and Zera's just contesting. This is all good. This is keeping pressure off of your hit scan. If this Tracer is unmarked, she's able to get a better angle on your hit scan or your tank. You have to basically just contest out this angle as Tracer. So there's not really any element of stealth here, but Zera loses that side fight, but doesn't overcommit to it, and then is able to reset. They're pretty even still. He gets some healing, and Maimon has to enter into his space. So once Maimon has to reset for healing, this is when Zera has this advantage, and he presses this advantage. And you can see his Cassidy has walked up as well. Against Mauga Cass, the Tracer, like I said, is what contests your Cass. Your Cass needs to be set up to provide that mid-fight damage. And you can see that they do that by rotating him around and having Infected soak up the aggro. The Mauga charges across, which is expected. And then Liquid does the flipping the map that I mentioned again. Unfortunately, Infected gets picked off here because of the window. I believe that Team Liquid goes on to lose this fight. He knows he's taking some damage down main, so he's going to jump for the left-hand side or the off angle. And the Tracer marks him because he, again, wants to get on their Cass or pressure out their Mauga. And he's able to break the lamp and force out the Mauga. It is nearly impossible for the Mauga to sustain through this. Like, I watched this from Kuffa's perspective. Like, watch this. So here's where the fight breaks down and DK wins. Mauga stomps around to draw some aggro to the point. This is all normal and expected. Team Liquid resets. They get a little greedy for the kill on the Baptiste, which they do not get. And Mauga uses Shout So you can see Mauga already used Shout, and against Orisa, Mauga also doesn't really have a good target to charge his overhealth off of, because Orisa has so much armor. She has her spin to mitigate damage, and her Fortify lets her not take headshots. He is not pressured by their team at all, so it starts with him rolling out, marking the Tracer, but this position specifically, he's able to rain damage into this Mauga, into this lamp, with no one on Gike being able to see him except for the Tracer. Like, he's able to stand there for 3 to 5 seconds, which is like almost unheard of in Overwatch, because he's able to minimize the pressure he's taking from the front angle. And they do unfortunately lose that fight because Gike got a better ult trade, but it was an expensive fight for Gike. You see, they have no ults left. So here, you know you have the advantage with the Terra Surge, and your Cassidy is going to be able to group up with your BAP and your Lucio and not take as much damage from the Tracer. So Zira uses this time to take an angle opposite of their Tracer and get on the Cassidy, because ultimately at the end of the day, the Cassidy is what pressures your tank. So the more you can keep their Cassidy out of the fight, which I know this is a little fast to watch. And there's the ult, gets to kill on Lucio, and that doesn't happen if Lethal is able to rain bullets into Infected, basically. So like, let's watch this from Lethal's POV here. You can see his goal is to basically melt down the Orisa, because that's what punishes your Mauga. So Lethal has this angle, and he can tell that Tracer's going to contest him, but he's still shooting bullets into Orisa because that's your primary job. See how far he has to reset back to avoid this Tracer? That Orisa is able, when Lethal has to back like this. Let's grab some overhead of this. So you can see Lethal here on the screen. When he gets marked out and has to back, look at how free Infected is to walk forward. He's able to take all of this entry space and the beginning of the room. And he has all of his armor, and presumably he used his spin, right? But otherwise he didn't use his Fortify. He has a Javelin on cooldown, and he's able to Fortify, walk forward, and then with his ultimate, he's effectively going to get a second Fortify here. Yep, and he gets the kill and cleans up. And that is in large part due to his Tracer being able to contest this Cassidy without being poked out. Being able to utilize stealth to walk forward and help your team walk forward is incredible for drawing attention and winning team fights. Now, I know this is quite a complex concept to break down into how you can utilize it for your ranked games, for your scrims, especially if you're scrimming or playing ranked at lower levels, because you're not always going to have the team coordination. So I wanted to do this exercise watching my own gameplay back from the enemy's perspective. So when I said earlier, as Orisa, your biggest threat is Cassidy, that's especially true in a situation like this, where they have a diva who's going to basically play protect the president with the Cassidy. They also have a mercy pocket on this Cassidy, which makes him do even more damage. So just watch how I play this, and I will watch for misplays and correct plays. Basically, their Cassidy walks stage. This is pretty standard stuff. I take a little damage. You can see I'm not really playing stealthy. I'm playing a frontline playstyle. I'm not playing my corners. And luckily, he started missing a lot of shots. So if he doesn't miss those shots, I am punished there. That is the one advantage of playing in a lower rank, is sometimes they just miss their shots, right? So if you see that from that cast's perspective, I was able to be poked out pretty consistently there. That's pretty bad positioning for me. And he swaps Widow to do some poke, but then he eventually swaps to Soldier 76. And then another fight here. I don't do this very well again. Like, I take a lot of poke from this engage, if I remember correctly. See, I'm playing kind of out in the open. My biggest threat is able to shoot bullets on me and I die. Like, that's really bad play, right? So what I can do as a player to make myself better after reviewing that infected VOD of he's playing corners, he has his tracer marking out the Cassidy, and even the Zera, like, it doesn't translate 1-to-1 from tank to flex DPS like that, but it is important to know what you look like from the enemy perspective. I feel like a lot of players don't watch back their VODs from other people's perspectives, because I was just a free kill for that guy. And so this fight again, you see the soldier has a pretty nasty angle on me. I do a better job of contesting it this time, but we just kind of lose out that ult fight. And I make an adaptation here after we lose this fight, and I swap to D.Va. And once I'm on D.Va, you'll see I play this a lot better in terms of playing my corners, playing for better angles, more stealthy, because D.Va ultimately has a higher kill potential than Orisa, especially on a soldier. Like, D.Va can booster, missile, melee onto a soldier and just basically kill him. So see, I took an angle that wasn't main here. I think I did that pretty well, right? Because my main threat, if we go back 10 seconds here, my main threat is playing down main. As D.Va, my main threat is down main. That means I go a different way to get a shorter path to engage onto him. I go the stage, and then I'm able to just poke out onto the soldier for free. And I end up marking the D.Va because I saw her use boosters. Right there, she uses boosters. I engage on her. But still, throughout this whole time, let's get back to their Cassidy, or their soldier, sorry. You can see how he's kind of forced into shooting me on an angle that I'm able to control. If I'm playing down main here, their soldier has the option to play here. He has the option to play here. He has the option to play here. Whereas if I am right here, he really only, if he wants to put pressure on me, only has the option to play here, right? Which gives me this amount of space. Sorry for the camera. This amount of space to contest. And that's not terribly hard to do against a soldier. I do end up marking the D.Va a little more. And we get on that D.Va, we mark her out. And he resets because he's forced out by a Moira. But you can see here, he's just not able to put pressure on like he wants. And they lose one, they lose two, they have to reset. So this is where I make the adaptation, and I noticed myself playing a lot better. Like, this just looks frustrating from this soldier's POV. So watch how he rains in some damage on my backline. My Moira goes in to take some poke to build her coalescence. And look at how little he's able to do down main because I'm DMing all of his shots and playing an angle where he can't shoot me. I walk up a little bit with my coalescence because I thought we were going to make some space with it, but it ended up not being the best coalescence. And I realized that, and I played a corner. So look at how little he's able to do here because of this angle that I'm holding. And we notice their tracer goes to point, so we send our troops back basically. So let's watch this a little from overhead here. So they send their tracer top left and they mark point. When we see this, we don't overcommit for that D.Va kill, crucially as well. We use our cooldowns to get back, take this space, walk forward. This Ana is my person I'm duoed with, so I know that I'm gonna get nano when I walk back here. I take an angle, take the nano, and force out that soldier. Now see, again, this is another opportunity. When I am playing down main like this, he only has one angle that he can put pressure on me from. He can run this way, but if he runs this way, he's so far away from his team that my Cassidy is going to mark him on that flank, and I will have my mech back and I'll be able to fly over here on him. And then also I have a Torb and a Torb turret, so it's like, it's not easy for him to flank here. I know that, so I play down main. And he does get the kill on my Cassidy, and he does take the flank that I mentioned. and I reset down main and force him out. It also helps that I killed his Mercy with Diva Bomb, which is like, shouldn't happen. And then he takes a top angle, meets my Moira at the Mega Pack, and just loses the 1v1, or 2v1 rather. And that's really the end of the fight there. Just what I wanted to highlight was the fact that I noticed I was taking a lot of poke. I identified my threat and played this position when he was walking down main. So anyways, to wrap this video up, I would say watch pro player POV of the character that you want to play. I recommend OBS Sojourn for that, or sorry, OBS Sojourn for that. She has a lot of perspective videos from all of the OWCS matches, everything like that, Face It Masters even. Just pick a player, watch how they play, and watch their engages from an enemy's perspective. And notice how they put a lot of pressure on the enemy without taking damage. Winning that trade is going to be the key to winning the stealth battle and winning the basically the war of poke. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this content or if you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe for more Overwatch analysis in the future.